Hey Tic Tac Nation, what's up? Your old buddy Scrappy D. Good morning, planet lovers, recyclers, scrapettes, scrappers, wannabes. Just watching, Earth lovers. I don't know, how many other things can I call you without you getting mad at me? Welcome to D-Scraps, E-Scraps. I'm your hostess with the absolute mostest, Scrappy D. Well, I decided to jump on today. I had a pickup the other day. Picked up a bunch of apples. I picked a bunch of apples, get it? Haha. I'll be here all week, thank you very much. You know, I always get the I'm here for the jokes. Now, I have a little problem. Hi, Dave. I have a slight problem because my other phone died, so I might not see your comments. If you need me for something, please message me. Now, you guys know I'm really starting to get into history of computers. It's just a fun thing, and I'm enjoying, I like learning stuff, you know. And back in the day when Apple first started, they were very environmentally friendly. That was one of Steve Jobs' good points. You know, it had a whole culture about it. You know, they were all about the economy, the environment, and this, that, and the other thing. And like everything else in the world, that really has gone by the wayside. But some of these older all-in-ones are really good for aluminum recovery. There's a lot of aluminum in them. The newer ones are really super plasticky. But I'm trying to get a load of aluminum together. I still don't have my truck, which is really getting on my nerves. But the trouble is the paint has to dry for XYZ number of days, and I had the back repainted, and of course most of you know I got hit. I got my door damaged really bad. And it is what it is. It's a holiday week coming up, and you know, so on and so forth. So, I really, at the moment, I'm not even running steel or shred. I can't be, well, number one, I don't want to wreck the truck again. I've got to get a trailer. Just something small and cheap, just something to throw the metal in. I don't hate to give it away because the two guys that I give it to are both old disabled guys. Nicest guys you ever want to meet, but you know, they work really hard. It's really hard work for a guy in their years. And they have no other way to make extra income, at least in their eyes they don't. So I've been putting it out for them. But, you know, I can't do that forever. So I picked up a bunch of apples the other day. I got the cheese grater that I showed you a couple of videos ago, and I got the Power Mac. I've had that up for sale for a couple of days. It was super clean, but there's really no interest in it. Even at $35, nobody wants it, so it's going to get scrapped. Not today, I don't think, but I mean, when you don't even see people watching it or looking at it, you know, there's no views on it, then you really can pretty much decide it's not a wanted item. I didn't do too bad. I paid $30 for, I think, 8 computers, a couple of laptops. So I'll easily get that back out in parts and boards. But this is a clean piece of aluminum. You can clean this up. I'll probably clean it up and just get dirty aluminum out of it, which is fine. But I took the cheese grater was aluminum. I can't get the power supply out of it, and I'm not going to fight with it. If I get it out, I get clean. If I don't get it out, I get dirty. And, you know, I'm 66 years old. I don't need to go dealing with all that. I'll take it as it is, call it a day and be done. Me, I like scrapping stuff, and I'm really, really enjoying vintage computers. Let's face it, I had quite an introduction getting those MIPS computers. Apple uses gold end on their wires, so make sure you get those. I'm just, you know what it is? I'm just having some fun. I'm having fun scrapping. I have gotten to the point where it really is a hobby. I've still got an awful lot of stuff to get rid of. But I'm enjoying working with a couple of local buyers. They've actually come to me for advice. That's kind of cool. And I am winding down. I call myself 75% retired. As if you figure the year is 12 months long, and I really only have to work September, October, and June. The rest of it is just maintenance and working on stuff, here and there. The rental business really takes care of itself. Just, when I have the school pickups and deliveries, it's busy. I got rid of the office. That was, I wish I had done it years ago. The office was nothing but a headache. Teaching studio. I just couldn't deal with it anymore. I was very happy to see it go. So, these Apple all-in-ones are really not they're not hard to scrap. The screen is magnetic. I already took the screen off. It's sitting wrapped up in bubble wrap on my workbench because I broke the screen on my Mac all-in-one. And I have some delusions that maybe I can switch the screen out. I don't know. It works. I might just be better off picking up another cheap MacBook and just transferring the data over. I just don't want to make extra work for myself at this point. So we'll see how that goes. I've got the basement back. I've still got a smell problem down there. The contract's just supposed to come out. I got a feeling I think it's the base of the walls and the carpet. And I think it's just residual from the flood. And I think if we get rid of that, it'll help. I'm taking a shampooer to it today. But I've got enough room. I've got rid of so much stuff. I can actually use it for storage again, which is nice. I don't have the other phone on, so if I miss your comments, I will apologize. I thought I plugged it in before I left, but apparently my charger's on the way out. So what's everybody here in the States doing for the holidays? When my mom was with us, and my dad we cooked. My dad loved to cook. And when he passed on, I took over the cooking, and love it. We always had a house full. Everything. Every party was at Grandma's house. Birthday, anniversary, everything. Everything was just at my mom's house. And now that she's passed, it's the kids are older too. They've all got families of themselves. The kids are my mom's grandchildren, my niece and my two nephews. So we're starting new traditions. It's hard. This is our third Christmas without her. She died on December 23rd, 2 years ago, and so we're dealing with all of that. And I'm glad to see that everybody's trying to, I said you got to create new memories, guys. The ones you have are priceless, but you gotta make new memories and new traditions, and so we're moving forward healthfully. I think my youngest nephew called me up for some of my mother's recipes. He said, "Well, I want to cook some of the things Grandma made." I said, "Oh, we're gonna have dry turkey and burnt food, huh?" We got laughing. There were a couple of recipes. She used to make these bacon cheese rolls with American bread. I mean, they would sit there at the table and make these damn things. It would take them forever, and they'd be gone in 5 minutes because they were so good. When my niece used to make them, she'd sit with her grandmother and make them, because we always had Christmas Eve at Grandma's house. It just always was. But Grandma being my mom, of course. But I said to I said I kind of remember how to make them. Because he wrote to you, he texted me, he said, "Hey," he said, "I'm at the grocery store, and that's something I really want to make. Do you remember what I need?" And I said, make them like a grilled cheese sandwich, and then just cut them up. And he was like, "No, we never did it that way. I don't like them that way." Okay. Well, I said, we'll have to put our heads together and try to resurrect the recipe. Yeah, God, this house was always this kitchen was always just full of good times. No matter, no matter where you go in the house, everybody finds their way into the kitchen. That was true here, and we had a small kitchen. I'm having it opened up. I'm gonna have it opened up into the dining room. Just it's nice now because I'm starting to reconnect with a lot of my friends. Had a reunion a couple of weeks ago. All of us who went to Stony Brook School together all got together. We've been friends for 60 years. And really a nice group of neighborhood kids. And I actually got in touch with the Stratford Historical Society. Stony Brook School closed. My mother was the last PTA president, and my brother's class, my younger brother, was the last class of students to go through Stony Brook School. So in the basement, I found a lot of memorabilia from the Stony Brook PTA. And I was out the other day and I went to the transfer station to dump some stuff. And somebody was throwing out a set of cast iron stuff. I love cast iron cooking. I like to put the skillet in the oven, get it super hot, and sear it. And I said, hey, are you going to throw those away? I said, can I have them? He said, sure. He said, you look familiar. I said, well, I've been active in a lot of different things here in town. He said, well, I work at the Historical Center. I said, oh, you can answer a question for me. And I told him about the books that I had that were my mom's. Just give me 1 second, guys. I got to take lunch out of the oven. But I said to him, I said, hey, I've got these books at home. They were my mom's. She was the last PTA president over at Stony Brook School. And I have all this memorabilia of hers. I said, do you think that's something that the Historic Association would like? He said, I think they would. He called his boss. And sure enough, so I'm going to run that over. So what they want us to do, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun, is we're going to get together a bunch of us who went to Stony Brook School, and we're going to try to recreate some of the memories from the school, and the neighborhood, and so it doesn't lose its place in history. You guys want to see what I made for lunch? Making chicken fajitas. Nice and healthy, low salt, very little in the way of peppers. I've got onions in there, but I can't eat peppers because of my IRA. So lunch is done. So we're going to, I think the Historical Association is going to try to meet up with some of us and see if we can put together a history of Stony Brook School. Now, with my mom having been as active as she was, they closed the school, like so many districts did. They closed up the school and called it a day. There's a couple of aluminum heat sink you'll get out of this. Now, this should be an Apple slot processor. That's a very good piece. See if the other phone will there. This phone was dead as a doornail when I left. I thought I did plug it in, but I think I got to go get myself a new charger, I think. Let's see if I can catch up with some of the messages here, huh? Master of One, hello. Susie Q, hello. Changing screens worth it? I don't know, Mr. Awesome. It's going to cost me nothing to try. I'm going to take a look on YouTube and see if it's worth it. I had it. It came across the workshop. It's desk. It's the same size and same model computer. I do right. And it's going to cost me nothing to try it. If not, I think I'll just wind up, like I said, buying a cheap seat, MacBook Pro. So Apples tend to be really hit or miss. These older ones are not bad. You're going to get definitely some aluminum out of this. Get a little bit of RAM here. That's nice. Nice desktop RAM. Actually, right now, I think the next pile of things I'm probably going to scrap. I'm going to, when I get through the last of the things I have to do here, is I'm going to scrap out a bunch of old laptops. Everybody's gold mining and looking for places to recover RAM and hard drives and things. I think the only place you're going to find them now might be in old laptops. It's just they're getting hard to find. But I wouldn't pay money for this. The guy who I bought them from, oh God, I did pay money for him, but he asked a ridiculously low price, and I kicked him a couple of cents extra. He really need. You can tell he just really needed it. So I did my Christian duty for the week and made sure he got taken care of. So this is an Apple slot processor. I just know that because I know that. These pay pretty well. You've got to keep a few, you got to scrap a lot of apples to get enough to warrant it. Like I said, these are so hit or miss. It just depends what year you get them from. Yeah, the older ones are good for scrapping purposes. They burn out, though. That's the problem with these is, oh, wow, it's an Apple. It's going to have an awesome motherboard. No, it's going to have a cheap, shitty plastic motherboard. Trust me on that one. I wouldn't pay for it. If you get a chance to scrap one, hallelujah. But no, not something I would buy. I gave the guy a few bucks because he needed a few bucks. And, there's enough there for me to make it worth my time. I had an interesting meetup on Marketplace yesterday. I have a nephew, and I don't want to say exactly what I bought him because if he sees this, I don't want him to know I bought him something. I bought something from someone that I really specifically bought for one of my nephews. He's really into Disney, and it was a really neat piece, and I decided to buy it. It's put away. It's in his stocking already, and he ain't getting it till Christmas. William, do not come in the house and snoop. I know you better. I'm not going to say exactly what it is. I'll tell you after Christmas. But I asked him about it. I said I was really super interested. And, those of you who've dealt with Marketplace know that there's a lot of just BS on Marketplace, And he said, no, he said, you can, it's available. I said, I need a couple of days just because of my schedule this week. I don't get paid till such and such a day, so and so. I said, can you give me 2 or 3 days? 2 or 3 days. I am serious, and I really do want to buy it. I said it's a gift for my nephew for the holidays. So I told him. He said, you got one somebody who's really a Disney fanatic. I said, oh my God. I said, this guy lives, eats, sleeps, and breathes Disney. They go to Disney a couple times a year, even as adults. They dragged me along last year to California. I'd never been to Disney, whichever one's in Cali. So that was kind of fun. Met up with a friend of mine out there and kept up with my 2 30-something-year-old nephews. It was fun. So this copper aluminum heatsink, I would definitely take this copper. I would take this copper. I don't know about cutting these open. It's only light aluminum. I don't think it'll hurt your blade any. I think you could cut this and remove the copper if you're so inclined. The heat sinks that are in stainless steel, you're going to go through a bucket of blades before you even know it. Hi, Kanaki. How are you? I love doing this. It's fun. I really love I love doing the lives. It's a lot of fun. Got a nice community of us who've been together on this. Now, this is not going to be an iCore, but I have found iCores in these. This is probably going to be just a Xeon. I'm going to check it anyway, but that's not an iCore arm. I got a 7 out of one the other day, and it tested positive. I got really good money for that. But you always want to check. Notice I'm handling it very carefully. Don't put your fingers on the gold stuff, guys, otherwise it won't connect. Intel Core. Well, son of a gun, it's an i3. Huh. Intel Core i3. Now, i3s don't have any value as far as test and sell, but I do bundle my old. I mean, this would sell if I sold it to any scrapyard or anybody, or if I bought it, I would buy this as a pinless CPU with a metal back, and it would get thrown in with the others. I do bundle the iCores separately. According to Obi-Wan Kenobi, there's 3 times the gold in the iCores that there are in the regular pinless CPUs, so I tend to bundle those separately. And let me get this battery off. You always want to get the battery off the board, unless you're going to specifically resell it, but you can't ship it with the battery. It's illegal. In this case, I already know I'm going to scrap this because the computer was neglected. It's been wet. It's not in resaleable shape. And honestly, I already know there's no market for this. I've looked. So first I look to resell, if I can resell the computer whole. Then I look to see if any of the components are saleable or in any shape to be resold. If they don't sell, I scrap them. You know, but I go through that whole process. I've actually got a pretty good, there's gold, got a nice collection going of Apple Macintosh components. I've been saving those, but I want to finish my story about my nephew's present. So, you know, I told him a little bit about how much my nephew liked. Now, I wanted him to know I was a serious buyer, and even though I needed a couple of days, I really, really wanted this item. I offered to PayPal him the money ahead and everything else, which you shouldn't do on Marketplace, but I did it anyway. I really, really wanted this thing. So he says, you know, since you have a family member who's so into Disney, he says, why don't I just sell it to you for $1? He lived around the corner from me, which worked out really well. I said, well, what kind of stuff do you know, what kind of stuff are you into? Maybe I can make you a trade. He said, I collect coins, which I also do. I used to really be into coin collect. That's another thing I'm finding myself getting back into is coin collecting. I had a beautiful coin collection. I gave it to my nephew, and it got stolen. And in it was a 1944 copper penny. And it was worth a lot of money. Long story there, but I felt so bad. I gave it to him because he was really interested in coins. I had just gotten back from Europe, and Europe was just changing over to the euro dollar. So a lot of the countries in Europe was just changing over to the euro dollar. So a lot of the countries in right in the middle of something. I'll call him when I'm done. Not that I don't love to hear from him, but I don't want to interrupt my life. So you get a nice piece of gold-plated material out of there. So I had given him the coin collection. And especially when I got back, the kids were young, and they spent a lot of time here. Their parents lived right around the corner from us. So, you know, we always had a house full of my mom's grandkids, my nieces and nephews. We always had a house full. And it was great. Good times. And so I had given it to him. When I got back, I showed them all the different coins, and I showed them what part of Europe the coins were from. You know, living history. I was always a teacher. Always have been and always will be. I like to teach. And, you know, so I gave him the coin set. I kept some things. I kept, like, my bicentennial coin proof sets I kept. A lot of the silver proof sets I still have. I couldn't believe somebody freaking stole it, but I gave him some of the historical coins, like Ben Franklin. I gave him a couple of the Ben Franklin $50 that I had. We had gone to Philadelphia, and it had, of course, Liberty Bell on it. So, you know, living history. And, you know, I had hoped it would be a hobby we could, you know, do together, which we would have if it hadn't. I couldn't believe it got freaking stolen right after I gave it to him. I was so upset. So was he, because it's not something you can just go out and buy another one, you know. it is what it is, though. So anyway, this guy was into coin collecting. And I've been acquiring uncirculated sets for a while. And I had a couple that were doubles, but I actually had a 1958 proof set. And I looked up its value, and it was about worth what he had asked for the original coin, so I gave it to him. And it turned out he was a United States Marine Special Forces retired. I had no way to know that beforehand. And we just had the coolest conversation. I, shared with him. My dad was a B-17 pilot in World War II. And he was just the coolest guy. It was just really a neat, cool, happy Facebook story. And I did get the item that I asked him about. He got a nice set. I had duplicates, so I gave him that one. Everybody's screaming, "You should have said it." Yeah, well, you know what? Some things are more important than money. Sometimes just doing right by somebody or do something nice. I mean, I made the guy's day. He was thrilled. He couldn't wait to get home and show it to his wife. He couldn't wait. And it turns out he lives around the corner from me. So I made a friend. That's priceless. Keep it copper, guys. Alright, I'm not going to get too nitpicky with this board. There is good gold here. Very nice, you can see it. I don't really know what the year is on this. If I go by the CPU being an i3, sometimes you can get a date off the CPU. In this case, no. Maybe 2003, possibly. It says serial number in 03, so maybe this computer is from around 2003. That would actually be right historically. So I'll clean this off. You gotta get the brackets off. Your yard won't want that. Some yards make you take the bracket off. Most of the bigger yards don't. You gotta just check. Not even so much with your yard, but with your board buyer. One of my board buyers doesn't. And I have another board buyer who I'm just starting to work with. He is a subscriber here on my channel, sellyourboards.com. And look him up, guys. He does some great scrap out videos, and I'm looking forward to working with him as well as the other two board buyers that I have. It's all really about shipping and pricing, This is going to be a power supply. You're going to put that in with your low-grade boards. A lot of people will scrap these. I've got tubs and tubs and tubs of them. Yeah, the audio cut. I know the audio cut out, and it did it because somebody called me. I sent it into voicemail, and that problem should correct itself. A lot of people will scrap these out. You got aluminum, you got copper. For me, I'm just going to toss it into my low-grade boards. Good enough. I just don't have that kind of time. I mean, I probably process 100 computers a week, and that's no joke. There's good money in e-scrap if you know what you're doing. This will just go in as a low-grade board. There's nothing on it of any real value. There's no components. There's a couple of chips. Probably could get peripheral low on that. I'm going to chuck it in low-grade boards. And this is a nice piece of aluminum. That's what I'm really working on today. I've got a lot of heat sinks and stuff down in the basement. I want to try to get the aluminum off of them and see if I can get at least an aluminum load up to the yard. Ranger detail? Some of these I can't see. Is it still cutting in and out? It should have stopped because I did have somebody who gave me a call. By the way, guys, I will repost the live. I try to stay just under an hour. TikTok won't let you post a live if it's over an hour. They won't let you repost it. I can post it on my YouTube channel, which is... shit, I'm going to get a restriction. I said, you know what? I just said it. I bet you I get a restriction. Watch the comments. Here it comes. Hey, Thomas, how are you? Thomas has bought a few boxes of my foam boards for me. So that was really fun. I'm having a lot of fun with the vintage computer stuff. There's a lot of really nice communities on even Facebook and Marketplace, and even eBay. you can really reach out, and it's fun. I've met some local people who were into a lot of the same kind of stuff I am, and only recently did I really get into the vintage computers. We had a pallet pickup a couple of months ago from, if you ever saw the show American Pickers, that's what this guy's warehouse looked like. It was unfreaking believable. And I had offered to buy the pallet from him quite some time ago. It just took a long time. He was moving and this, that, and the other thing. And he called me and said, hey, you want to come get it? I said, yeah. Well, I don't think he had any idea what was actually in there. I didn't either, because I would have offered him, a little bit better price. I really actually got to send him some money. Christmas is coming. And, but I'm not done with those computers. But what it did is it gave me a huge inventory right away of really cool vintage computers. I got into studying about a company called MIPS, M-I-P-S. And they were really first to the table with the PC boards and things. They were out of California. If you sell anything or see anything that says MIPS on it, you have a very valuable piece of history. Check out Google. It's called the Magnum 2000 and the Magnum 3000. They're called the Jazz Development Board. They are scarcer than hen's teeth. Hens don't have teeth. You guys know that, right? Hey, Scorpion Metals. Good morning to you. So yeah, it's been an awful lot of fun. I think there's going to be a lot of value in vintage computer parts. Number one, from a scrap aspect, they've got tons of gold in them. So even a damaged roasty toasty board from an older computer, pre 2020, and even through the 90s, you're gonna get good gold recovery there. I've been looking for alternative places to find gold, because RAM is just ridiculous. You can't get it. You can't get it. Everybody wants RAM, and rightly so. It's high quality gold. Where did I chuck those pieces? So RAM, you've got Goldfinger cards, and then you've gold fingers, which are the best gold fingers. Not so much from the desktop RAM, but the older vintage RAM, and then you want these chips. Really good for gold recovery as well as the actual board itself. So people who are doing gold recovery are all over it. What am I doing? I am dismantling an old Apple, what did I say this was? An all-in-one? An all-in-one Mac from 1990, we think. 1992-ish. It did not work. It was broken. It had gotten wet, so we went ahead and scrapped it. Plus, I already know there's no resale on this. So this, I think I've got to flip it over and get at from the back. I've got to clean this up. If I clean this all up, I can get clean aluminum for it if I clean it up. If I don't, I'll just have to throw it in as, dirty aluminum. I've been keeping the screws. Believe it or not, people buy lots of computer skills, like put in a lot, not buy lots of them. Thank you, I appreciate that, Scorpion Metals. You're always working. Shout out to Scorpion Metals, guys. He's got a really great channel too. You might want to check out what he's doing. Really good with recycling and stuff. My usual live is Sunday mornings between 8 and 10. And I don't know about this week with the holiday. I don't know. We'll see. But I like to pop on during the week when I can. And if you're a content creator, you got to keep up. Let's see. So I talked about the coin. Oh, and I was talking about the vintage computers. I've still got 20 computers down in the basement to go through. I'm not in any big hurry. The MIPS computers I sold within 24 hours of listing them, and I got premium price for those. Go look on Google. Look up Jazz Development Board. A lot of really interesting history on the MIPS. I think it stands for something like million information pieces a second. And then I started looking up a company called DEC, Digital Electronics Corporation. man, they were next to the table. They pretty much, took over the MIPS product, made their changes and whatever. Man, I always forget how to get this thing right. It's a pain in the ass. This thing's a pain to get off. Oh, this screws up here. That's what it is. Okay. Lost track of what I was saying. Sorry. Let me turn this around. Yeah. So DEC, Digital Electronics Corporation. Now these companies were all in California, and again, this is just what I'm into right now, is reading about all these really cool companies and things. By the way, this is a beautiful piece of aluminum. I've just got to find the right size screwdriver. And that's the other thing. If you're scrapping apples, you're gonna need every scrapples. If you this should be a product called Scrapples. If you're scrapping Apple computers, you are going to need every star-bit screwdriver known to God and man. Let me tell you. And now I've been studying about this DEC, which was like the next chapter. These companies were all involved in the development of the personal computer. They got away from mainframe, and of course IBM just came in and kicked everybody's ass right off the table. So, but it's an interesting story. DEC eventually sold out to HP Compaq, and there was a lot of interaction with Intel and ARM providing the chips for it. Those are the chips, and then it went into the 386s, the 486s, and things just got it faster and faster and better. But price of precious metals and gold went up, so they had to find a more cost-effective way to manufacture these boards. That's hitting us now. Anything after 2020 doesn't have anywhere near the gold or copper recovery. So, it's been a lot of fun. I've been really, really enjoying it. I probably will. Hey, thank you, Scorpion Metals. Appreciate that. Really been enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun. And now that I'm 75% retired, I gotta find a new hobby. Just might be doing vintage computers. I've got one done. Mac made some really interesting things. I'm gonna have to probably cut these because they're stripped. I'm going to throw some penetrating oil on here, let it soak in, and then try to get them out because I can't. They're stuck fast. I've got to get this piece off, and then I can free this entire thing. But these screws are all stripped really badly. I'll get some penetrating oil, and I'll throw a little heat on it and see if I can get it off that way. I'll do that outside, of course. But that's basically the Mac itself. And I do want to get that because this would be clean aluminum, and unless I just decide to just chuck the thing into dirty. But for 8 screws worth of work, I think I'd rather get clean aluminum. All right, so lots of fun things going on in Scrappy D World. I do have a couple of other computers to scrap out this afternoon. They are older Macs. They do not run. I have to go in and evaluate the condition of the boards. I may do that on another live later today or just on another video. As I said, I try to sell the computer whole. They're boxed. I haven't gotten into them yet. If I can sell the computer whole, great, so be it. I'm going to do it. And as I said, the next thing I do is I try and strip the boards. I try to resell them. I do resell a lot of them as gold finger cards. I don't process them. What I do is I leave them whole. So if somebody wanted to buy, one of my parts, it's priced. I sell it as scrap because I don't know if it works. Not one of my parts, but one of my computer parts. Oh God, I wouldn't wish my parts on anybody. Ta-da! Lots of good gold in these apples too. Golden apples. Thank you. I'll be here all week. Where was I? So I'm going to take a look at the computer, evaluate it to see if it's worth trying to sell whole. Saves me a whole bunch of time, no pun intended. When I sell the gold finger cards or I sell any of the parts, I very clearly label this is for scrap, not working. But I don't take anything off it. I resell a lot of my products are resold to people here on TikTok. A lot of our friends who do gold refining buy product from me. I do have a store. On my profile page, I usually list whatever I've got in the store. But I don't do anything to it because I think vintage computer parts are going to be really hard to come by for people who are really into that stuff. So I resell them in bunches. And, I mean, like, if the motherboard on this, I already know I'm going to scrap. I know there's no demand for it. It's super plasticky. And I don't know what's wrong with it. It probably has a burn spot on it somewhere. A lot of these burned. Hey guys, don't forget to hit the like button, okay? Because it really, really, really helps the algorithm for the channel. Hit the notifications. I try to go live, but I don't go on if any of my subscribers are on because I don't believe in stepping on other people's lives. I will go in and support their live, of course. I'm usually kind of an early in the morning kind of person. But all of my lives will be reposted. If I kept it under an hour, it'll repost here on TikTok. If I went over an hour, well, it's going to get posted on Tube anyway. So, I always try to do some kind of instruction. And I try to mix it up and keep it new for you guys. So I'm going to go eat my lunch because it smells really good and I'm getting really hungry. And I'll try to get this piece out. And that'll just determine how I sell this. I'll clean this up. I'd like to get a piece of clean aluminum, but I'm not going to spend all day trying to get these damn 8 screws out. If I can get them, I'll get them. If not, well, it's going to just go dirty. That's it. I'll cut the aluminum piece off, though. All right. So that is now a Scrapple. Didn't there used to be a food product called Scrapple? I think it was like dried pieces of apple or something. All right. That'll go into the aluminum bin. As I said, I do have a couple of other computers here to scrap out. I do have some laptops I want to do. And I do want to go through some of those vintage computers. So, we got a couple of nice heat sinks again. Cut that copper out. Copper's worth a lot more than aluminum. You're still going to get copper aluminum heat sink for these anyway, so why not nip the copper off? This is an Apple slot processor. They usually sell for about the same price as RAM. Nice power board. Crappy ass peripheral board. And your motherboard. Take the bracket off though. Why don't you come off? If you can. And we did get an i3 chip out of there. That was pretty good. This will grade... I think we're going to just grade it as an iCore board. That's what they're going to give me because of this rectangle. If it was square, I could do it. I would get a metal socket motherboard, but this is an iCore board. That's what they're going to take it as. They're scrapped. I mean, board sorters are $2 a pound, but you got to spend half of that to ship it. Some things you're better off selling locally. I've got a couple of other buyers who I'm going to see if I can get a quote on. I've got 4 freaking Gaylord boxes of those things. So, that's a wrap. Oh, and we got some RAM. So we got RAM, slot processor, iCore board, copper aluminum heat sinks, and a nice hunk of dirty aluminum. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the gift of your time. It was nice to see you all. Don't forget to hit the notifications. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you like computer chat, computer scrapping, vintage boards, that's kind of my bailiwick. I don't really do a lot of the other electronics. I don't have the space, I just like to focus on the computers, taking them apart, reselling what I can, and recycling the rest. E-scrap is a huge problem in this country, huge. And I think you're going to see more and more yards opening up e-scrap departments, and I think you're going to see more and more companies open up e-scrap. I know Shark Scrapper was saying about Mint Innovations. They're from the UK, from Australia rather, and they've opened a big branch in Texas. I just think you're going to see more and more and more. We used to just dump it on a barge and ship it to China. But it's getting harder and far harder to find the components. Palladium, gold, copper. Some of these precious metals, these rare earth metals, they're going to have supply problems. And I predicted that about 5 years ago when I got into this business. I saved a lot of stuff, and I only recently resold my RAM. A lot of it. I had to. We had a disaster in the kitchen here that had to be attended to. I think it's going to go up. I don't think it's going to go down, Joel. And boy, God bless you guys who are home gamers and doing gold refining. That's not for me. It's not my comfort zone. I like just taking things apart, and I like... Thank you, Daryl. Appreciate that. Screechy Dan, welcome. Gerald, welcome. You guys are just coming in at the end, unfortunately. But yeah, you know, there's a lot of need for e-scrap recyclers, guys. And like I said, my thing is computers. There's plenty of gold in other electronics. I mean, just hit gold. Just hit hashtag gold from electronic devices. You'll find tons of it. Silver has come way up. Copper is at probably near an all-time high at this point. So there's money to be made. And, you know, just watch for my profile page. If you're looking for e-scrap, I do try to make, like, priority boxes full. I just shipped out 2 this morning. A box of hard drive boards and a box of phone circuit boards. But I'm really, the supply is really low. It sells faster than I can list it. But that's what I want to do today. I want to go through the apples. I want to go through the vintage boards and see what I can resell. I did resell that... I did resell the Tandy computer that I had. That I just sold. It was in decent condition. I sold it for parts, you know, but I'd rather just sell it whole. Let somebody else dismantle it and see what's in there and rebuild it. I did pretty good with that. And then I sold the other Tandy, the laptop that I had. You know, I didn't sell it for a lot because I don't know if it works. I don't have a charger, you know. So, but that's a lot easier than just, you know, just ripping stuff apart. Because if you rip it apart and scrap it, then nobody can get the parts, you know. So have a care when you're scrapping stuff. Think about the vintage computer people who can't get parts. That's a huge topic of conversation on a lot of my vintage channels that I subscribe to. All right. Hi, Dennis. Anyway, everybody, have a great rest of your day. It is 12 o'clock noon here in Connecticut, and I'm going to go have some lunch. And I've got my shipping done. And I think I'm going to do some more scrapping. I'll probably get some videos up that are item specific. Thanks again for joining me. It was great to see you. I see a lot of new names in the chat. Welcome. I hope you're enjoying what you see. I've got a nice community of subscribers, really very polite, respectful, very knowledgeable. You can learn from your subscribers. You can learn a lot. And I really have, and I'm grateful for it. So, see you Sunday, I hope. Have a good Thanksgiving. If I don't see you before then, do watch for some of the vintage computer, just regular videos to go up, and I'll keep those coming for you. Bye, guys. God bless. Stay wonderful. Love ya. Bye. And I'll keep those coming for you. Bye, guys. God bless. Stay wonderful. Love ya. Bye.